Welcome to the Full of Tracy Money Audio Commentary. This is Owen Tracy recording. It's 4:16 p.m. That is Central Time. Today is January 24th, and today being Friday, it's the big picture, long-term audio and video for the various different asset classes. Well, when we think about what's been happening this week, the inauguration of President Trump was greeted with enthusiasm by investors, and it was the best start to a new term for a president since the 1980s. So, in very clear terms, that signals that the market is happy with a new Trump administration and anticipates that we will have market-friendly policies enacted and potentially even tax cuts. There are discussions underway to try and please the holdouts in the Republican Party. So, with only two as a majority in the House of Representatives, it means that the swing vote is something that has a great deal of power. Now, we often see this in places like Ireland or other countries that have minority governments, and a couple of independents then get to have a great deal of sway. Well, for the Republicans that are elected in Democratic high tax states like California or New York, well, the one thing that their electorate are interested in is the state and local taxes exemption. There are negotiations underway to raise the exemption from 10,000 to 20,000. And obviously, what the exemption limits were prior to the Trump administration were that you could write everything off. So if you lived in a high property tax state, then you got to write off those taxes against your income. And when the Trump tax cuts were initiated, well, it really hit the people that were living in high tax states because they didn't get to write off as much. It also, of course, hit the higher income bracket because if you have recently bought a house and, well, I guess I look at my own taxes. I get to write off $10,000 of the interest on my mortgage, but the interest on my mortgage is substantially more than the 10,000 limit. And obviously, if I were living in a state that had state income taxes, well, then I wouldn't get to take that deduction at all. So these are obviously very, very significant issues for people living in high tax states. And this is probably their best opportunity to have their politicians really animate or agitate for their rights on this occasion, because the Trump tax cuts will need to be extended, and the strength in the stock market is very much dependent on that. So we're certainly seeing quite a lot of horse trading, and I think it is quite likely that the omnibus bill to try and push through as much of the agenda as possible in one go will be certainly something that the new Trump administration will be able to exert the whip on, that they will have the opportunity to force some acquiescence. But the longer we get away from the election and the closer we get to the midterm elections, then the more difficult it's going to be to really get anything done. So this is obviously an interesting environment. Now, something that I think is rather interesting is there is this almost fear of predicting what President Trump is going to do because he tends to be volatile.